Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I'm not going to talk about. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I always forget. I thought I had put it on the silent, but I hadn't. But anyway, never mind. I'm not going to talk about Nancy Guthrie this morning. So most mornings I've been given an update on the Nancy Guthrie case, haven't I? Poor lady snatched from her bed. There's still no real updates, and in fact, the only update really is that the FBI apparently have said they have no suspects. As we're always thinking, oh, maybe they're working behind the scenes and something's about to break. Turns out it isn't, unless it does, of course. It's like, that's where we are with Nancy's case. So I've decided this morning I'm going to talk about another missing persons case. Um, Very different circumstances, but just as mysterious, really, in a completely different way, if you like. And this is the missing case of Vitoria. Now, I'm not. Victoria is from Brazil, so her name is Portuguese. And although, I can understand a lot of Portuguese because it's very similar to Spanish, I can't pronounce it. So, how I actually pronounce, I don't want to really butcher her surname. But anyway, Victoria is her first name, shares her name with me, Victoria. Um, let's have a go at it. Figueiredo-Barreto. And I'm so sorry if I haven't pronounced that correctly, which is probably likely that I haven't pronounced it correctly. And this lady is Brazilian, but she went to the UK, to Essex in the UK, in the south of the UK, in the United Kingdom. And she's disappeared, but it's very mysterious circumstances how she's disappeared. Now, reading between the lines, it seems like this may be a case of someone who's decided to, take themselves away for whatever reason. But of course, it's not certain. It's gone on for quite a few days now, and nobody knows what has happened to Victoria. And quite a few of you have emailed me or messaged me about this case and said to me, why don't you cover this? But of course, it's all been about Nancy lately, that case. But now, of course, it's all gone quiet because all the streamers have gone from the air, etc. It's and I'm not going to give up with Nancy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to stop talking about Nancy, but maybe not every morning. I want to give some other missing people, some other cases, some attention because they're just as important as Nancy's case. There is not one case that's more important than another, really, is there? And to each case of a missing person or a murdered person, as far as their family and friends are concerned, that is the only case for them. Now, for us, we look at different cases, but each case is as important as the other. And I'm going to start covering Victoria's case. Hopefully, there'll be some answers about Victoria, but we've been thinking about Nancy, and it's been over 40 days. Surrounding Nancy are so much more sinister. With Victoria, there's no evidence. Riley's coming up, say hello. There's no evidence as yet with Victoria, I don't think, that there's any maybe foul play involved, but certainly mysterious. Hello, what? It's certainly very mysterious, but there's no evidence that there's any foul play. Whereas with Nancy Guthrie, of course, it's clear that there is foul play. What are you doing? Are you going to get down me do my life? So, no is the answer to that. He's nudging me with his nose, trying to get me to give him a cuddle. Eh, eh, eh. So, you're distracting me completely. You know that, don't you, little sweetie? Yeah, so we're going to look in this video about this case of missing Victoria. Really mysterious disappearance. Now, people go missing, of course, don't they, daily. As people are found very quickly or, return very quickly. And I think out of the missing people, there's a lot of people go missing every year. But a lot of them are found. But a lot of them, we never find out what's happened to them. Jack O'Sullivan, that's another case in the UK, isn't it? In Bristol, 2 years now since Jack O'Sullivan disappeared, and no answers for his family. So let's hope this case of Vitoria doesn't turn into a 2-year search for someone. Okay, so first of all, though, as usual, I'm just going to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the positive contributions you make to my channel. Thank you to my members. Thank you to people who've bought me Ko-fis, sent super stickers, PayPal'd me, etc. I really appreciate every positive impact you give to my channel. Thank you. Hi, you lovely lurkers. Good to see you all. You're all looking very well this morning. Today is a lovely day, by the way, here in Spain. We've got another lovely sunny day, so I'm hoping to get some sun later after I finish teaching. Hi to Replay Crew. Thank you so much for watching. All of you, thank you for sharing any of your time with me. I appreciate you being here with me, sharing my interest in these cases and our sort of, the desire for these cases to be solved and for families to be put out their misery one way or another. Because, missing people, murdered people, etc., apart from the actual person themselves, the people that are suffering are their friends and family, aren't they? It's not just one case to them amongst many. It is the only case for them that matters. And sometimes people can live in torment for years and maybe never even find out what happened to their loved ones. So, my heart goes out to them especially. Okay, let me take my banner off, come into the chat. Who's up bright and early this morning? Is there anybody here? Hi, Daniel. Happy Tuesday. Hi, Tracy. You're on your way to work. You're very hard working, Tracy. Okay, so as I say, this is a British case in that happened in Britain, in the United Kingdom. I'm going to show you where in a moment. But the lady herself, Victoria, let's have a look at her. These are photos that were released by the police. These are all photos of Victoria. As I say, she is actually originally from Brazil. And she had travelled to the UK after being in Morocco at some kind of convention meeting type thing. We'll have a look at that later. And we're going to go through the timeline of the last things that we know about her. It's very, and you'll see, I think the reason that this, because as I've said, lots of missing people. Why do some cases catch attention more than others? This case has caught a lot of attention, I think, because the police are appealing for information, but also it's the mystery of it. When somebody, just disappears in such a mysterious way as Victoria has, a young woman, why would she just disappear? And then various personal items of Victoria's have been found, discarded, or, have they been discarded by Victoria? Is there more to this case? Is there some foul play in the disappearance of Victoria, or is it a mental health issue? Has Victoria just lost the plot, as people do, just had enough? But yeah, trying to trace Victoria's last steps has been quite revealing and interesting because, you know, it's thought that she may have even taken a boat herself from a, you know, who would do that? I mean, that to me just struck me, you know, if you were going to take yourself off to, you know, do something to yourself, or you just wanted to escape life for a bit, imagine going off and taking someone's boat. You know, it's quite it's an unusual thing to do, isn't it? You might take a coach somewhere, a train somewhere, even a plane somewhere, but to actually go and unmoor a boat, if that's what she did, because we don't know for certain that it was her who did it, but it's thought that possibly that is what she did. It's quite a dramatic thing to do, isn't it? An unusual thing to do. Now, on these photos, of course, like all photos from social media, Victoria is beaming and looks happy. You know, social media is such an inaccurate gauge, isn't it, of people and what they're going through in their lives, or whether they're happy or not, because on their social media images, it's rare that they post a social media image where they're not smiling, you know, or they don't look happy, isn't it? People don't tend to do that, do they? You post your social media images, you know, you make yourself look nice, you know, get your smile on, do your hair, get your makeup on if you're a woman, of course. But even men, you know, they spruce themselves up to go on Instagram or whatever social media they're on. So it's such an inaccurate, it gives us an inaccurate picture of the reality of someone's life, doesn't it? You know, how often do we see families on there like all smiling, and then the next day, you know, one of the parents goes crazy, kills the other one and the children, and the last media image of them, they're smiling. There's been one in America killed his children and his wife. Photos that are coming out of that family, all smiles, you know, you wouldn't know there was anything wrong. So social media is not an accurate representation of people's lives or how they feel inside, is it? We know that. Hi, Angel. Good morning. So what we're going to do is have a look. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you where this took place, or where she's disappeared, which is Brightlingsea. It's not a place that I'd ever heard of, actually. My geography is not good, even UK geography. It's not bad, I suppose, but I can't say that I really knew Brightlingsea or had heard of it properly. But it's in the south, near Clacton. People might know Clacton, Nigel Farage's constituency, if you know anything about politics. But Essex is in the south. Let me just make sure that is sharing. No, not yet. Should be sharing in a moment. There you go. So if we look at the UK, here's... Oh, I need to make it bigger. So it's a seaside place, Brightlingsea, which tells you, I suppose, there it is. It's not far from Colchester. It's actually not that far from London. So London is here. Brightlingsea is here, right on the coast, near Clacton-on-Sea. That is where she was last seen. That's where this lady was last seen. And if we sort of pan out, you can see Brightlingsea is here. Not that far from London, is it? Cambridge. You know, the UK is not that big a country. Most places are quite close to other places, aren't they? Because it's really the UK at the end of the day. It's a very small country. In the great scheme of things, the UK is a tiny country actually, but that's where it is. So we can see it's right on the coast. So I think she's thought to have taken a bus to get there. And then this boat has gone missing, been unmoored, and then found abandoned in the sea. So I think the general thoughts are, this is what I mean about truth being stranger than fiction, because you wouldn't imagine that somebody would go off to the coast, get on a bus, go to the coast, steal a boat, really. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't believe it was her boat. Or her ship, or whatever. I think it's a boat more than a ship. Who would do that? But you know what? There's no account. This is exactly it. We have no idea most of the time what is going on in other people's minds. We just do not know. You can be chatting with someone, a friend who was the last person to see her said she wasn't herself. She didn't come over as she seemed unsettled. But even then, you just don't know, do you? Exactly what, even if someone appears normal, you don't know. Sometimes people, I've know of people who've literally gone out with their friends, had a great time as far as their friends said, and then gone home and, removed themselves from this earth. So all the time they were out with their friends, were they thinking about that what they were going to do when they got home? You just don't know what people are thinking. And it reminds me of, I always like to tell you some anecdote. I've lived such a long life so far. There's always an anecdotal story. But I remember when I was about 19, and I used to go out a lot with my sister, one of my sisters, and we'd go out in Moston in the Manchester area, Greater Manchester. And we used to go to the Conservative Club of all places. These are working men's clubs for anyone who's not from the UK. Working men's clubs, they're like, I don't know, I suppose they're normal. They're like, even though it was the Conservative Club, you didn't have to be a Conservative to go in there. And they would have bands on, dance nights. They're just a pub, really, but the drinks were cheaper. They grew up from like in the UK from like the industrialization. They've been there places where people would go where it was cheaper to have a drink. You could let your hair down after a hard week's work or whatever. Anyway, so the Con Club in Moston, I think it's on Lightbound Road in Moston. Anyone who knows that area. I used to go there a lot with my sister because she lived up there in Moston, and she had a group of friends, there was a group of women that we all used to have a good time, and I was the youngest. So, my sister, I think, is around 10 years older than me. So they were all probably her age. I was the youngest one. And we would have a great time. But there was one lady, and I think her name was Moira. I think I can even still remember her name, even though it was a long time ago. I never forget her. I don't know why. She's always lodged in my head, because I remember thinking when, as a 19-year-old girl, how attractive she was. But she was very attractive in a Joan Crawford type way, if that makes sense. Joan Crawford is a very old actress, like not your conventional sort of pretty face, but like I don't know. I just remember thinking she reminded me of Joan Crawford. She was a very attractive woman. And then I remember the last time that I saw her, we were all out having a good time in the Conservative Club, dancing. There would have been a group on or something. And I remember she did look a bit distracted, and she was chewing gum. This is what always registers in my head. She was chewing gum furiously, like chomping on this chewing gum, like, so much so that I noticed, thought, gosh, it was, so when I think about it now, I think there must have been all sorts going on in her head, and this chewing this gum so furiously, so sort of aggressively almost. Probably she was trying to quieten the voices in her head. I don't know what was going on in her head. Nobody knew that she had any ideation, thoughts or whatever. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Anyway, literally about a week on from that night out that we had, she threw herself off a car park in Manchester, off, multi-story car park. And very sadly, she died. And she was probably, she was probably in her late 20s, early 30s. Not much, certainly wouldn't have been older than 40. That was the sort of age group those women were. And I've never forgotten her, and I've still got a very clear picture of her in my head. But what I'm trying to say is, you just do not know what's going through people's heads. I don't know what was going on in her life. Where I don't even know if she was married or she had kids. I don't remember anything about her, except she used to come out on these nights out that we used to have in the Con Club, and she looked like Joan Crawford, or I thought she did. And I remember this last time that I saw her. So that's the thing, that's why you always have to be careful to be nice to people. It's hard sometimes, isn't it? Because sometimes people are not nice to you, but even if people are not nice to you, you should still be nice back to them, because you don't know what they're going through. You just do not know what they're going through. And sometimes people come over as being abrasive, rude, because they're going through so much and they can't hide it. I've done it myself. You go out and you're in a bad mood because of something that's terrible that's happening in your life. You're not always very nice to other people, are you? And you shouldn't be like that, but it's just, you just can't help it. And you might snap at someone, or get angry, be quick to get angry with someone. And I'm not saying that we're all perfect and we cannot do it, but we shouldn't do it. That's what I'm saying. I don't practice what I preach. Believe me, many times I've gone out and, you sort of snap at someone, and afterwards you think, oh God, why did I do that? But you've done it because you're at the edge. You're on the edge yourself. You're at breaking point. So who knows what was going through Vitoria's mind when she met up with her friend. I mean, at the end of the day, basically, we just don't know. We don't know. Anyway, this is where it's happened in Brightlingsea. We're all, thing is, there's always something to struggle with in life, isn't there? Once one situation gets resolved, there's always something else. When you've got a big thing going on, like bereavement, or a relationship breakup, or maybe got domestic abuse going on, or a health issue, or even financial problems, or a combination of all of them. Sometimes they're big things that we have going on in our lives. But sometimes I think you worry when even you've really got nothing to worry about, but it's almost like you're looking for something to worry about. We have to count our blessings. That's what we have to do. We have to sit down. We have to, what is it? Your hell could be somebody else's heaven. It's like there'll be people out there who don't have financial issues to deal with, but they've got health issues to deal with, which can't be resolved with money, can they? And then there'll be other people who don't have the health issues, but they're worrying how to pay their bills, or maybe a combination. So, yeah, there's lots of things that can bring us down. And it's just important that we always count our blessings, because there's always some good things. Well, not every day is good, but there's something good in every day. And you have to try and think of that. You just have to. But it's a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge. Was Victoria going through some of those challenges? As I say, sometimes I honestly think, like, sometimes you can get caught up in things. If you've got children, so if you're getting your children off school every day and trying to feed them and trying to, make sure they're clothed, and that you haven't maybe got time to worry about other things, where so they're your main worries, aren't they? But sometimes when people haven't got all that to worry about, sometimes you can have too much time to think about everything, and you can concentrate. Sometimes it helps to have somebody else to think about, or a dog, or something else to feel responsible for, because otherwise you can wallow in your own self-pity sometimes as well, and you've got to be careful of not doing that, because that is the road to depression, I think. You've got to try not to wallow in it, and you're going to have days where you're going to wallow. Every now and again, you've got to let yourself have a good cry and a good wallow in everything, and then get up the next morning. It's a new day. Look at things from a different viewpoint. If you're a spiritual person or a religious person, praying can help, can't it? Or, you've got to find, where's your happy place? It might be a bit of retail therapy. It might be going to the beach for a walk, or it might be walking through the woods. Or it might be going to the gym or going for a run. That would never be my happy place, I can assure you. But, everyone's different. Some people go for a bike ride, or, we've all got things that make us happy, and you've got to do those. Do the things that make you happy as much as you can. So I'm really waffling, aren't I? And the reason I'm waffling, because I know there's a lot of you out there that watch my channel that are going through stuff at the moment. I know that from the messages and the emails you send me, and we can't fix other people's things, but we can be there for them. We can listen to them. We can try and make them laugh. Laughter's a good way to try and, sometimes it's like if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, but it's a very true saying that sometimes you have to even see the funny, what I'm doing, worrying about this. But anyway, so let's go to the timeline of what happened to Victoria. I'm going to read it out to you. So this lady, but she is not from she's not from the UK, even though that's where she's disappeared. Right, I've lost the timeline now. Come on, where's my timeline? I had it all set up. So this all started, from what's relevant to Victoria go missing. February the 2nd this year, 2026, Victoria arrived in the UK after attending a conference in Morocco, and she was staying with a friend in Colchester and considering pursuing a doctorate at the University of Essex. So this is an intelligent woman. We can assume she's got a degree. She was considering doing a doctorate at the University of Essex, staying at a friend in Colchester. She's from Brazil originally, and she'd been in a conference in Morocco. So she's quite a travelled lady, cosmopolitan. And anyway, so she came to the UK on February the 2nd. She went missing the very next day on March the 3rd, which was a Tuesday, apparently. She met her friend at the University of Essex campus in Wivenhoe, and her friend noted she seemed uncharacteristically quiet and clearly not well. So I do feel this is a case of a mental health issue. It's again, there she is. She's come to the UK. She's considering pursuing a doctorate at university. She's got hopes for the future, but what is going on in her head, that may, depression does have, well, why are you depressed? Got nothing to be depressed about. But depression doesn't have a logic, does it? It's like, you can see that somebody has got all the reasons to be happy, but they can't be happy because depression is an illness, isn't it? It's an illness, just like, it'd be like saying someone had a broken leg. Oh, well, just go and walk to the shops, walk it off. It's like that, isn't it? You can't. It is an illness, but it's the worst illness, really. Mental illness is probably, arguably, the worst illness you can have, because you can't see it. You can hardly treat it, because you don't know what you're treating. Sometimes the treatment of it can cause side effects and make things worse. It's a mental illness. I don't think there's enough investigations gone into mental illness. I don't think there's enough research. I don't think there's enough funding for people that are dealing with it. And it costs just as many lives as cancer does, or any other terrible illness that the human beings can get inflicted with. And it can cause your death, or it can cause the death of other people. How often we see some people with mental illness, they don't just take it out on themselves, they take it out on other people, don't they? So it definitely needs more investigation, I think, mental illness. So, okay, so where were we? So, yes. So on that very next day, so she's only just arrived in the UK the day before, on the 2nd of March, on the Monday. On the Tuesday, she meets her friend at the University of Essex campus, and her friend says she was uncharacteristically quiet and clearly not well. There could be something precipitated it. Quite often, bouts of depression or extreme depression or ideation of self-deletion can be brought on by a significant date. Maybe it was, I don't know, the birthday of someone she'd lost, or something had happened to make her think about something in her past. So at 1 p.m, she was seen boarding the number 87 bus on Boundary Road in Wivenhoe, heading towards Brightlingsea. At 1:30, she got off the bus at Belfield Avenue in Brightlingsea. And at 2:30 p.m, so an hour later, an hour after she got off the bus, doorbell footage captured her in the Hurst Green area of Brightlingsea. Now, I don't know any of these areas. There might be some of you out there who do know them. Maybe you've got some door cam or some, have a look out if you were in that area. The police are still appealing, for door cam footage, etc. And then on the evening time, what did she do there all day? What did she do in Brightlingsea all day? And why did she even go to Brightlingsea? But anyway, it was that evening she had her last contact with her family. Then on the following day, Wednesday, March the 4th, at 12:16, CCTV captures a person who is believed to be Victoria jumping over a fence into a boatyard in Brightlingsea. What would have made her think to go to a boatyard? And then in the early hours of that was 12:16 a.m. So then later after that, a boat was reported missing from its mooring in Brightlingsea. And then later that day, Victoria was officially reported missing to Essex police after failing to meet her friend as planned. So is that why was it in Brightlingsea? I'm not sure where she was supposed to meet her friend, but she was supposed to meet her friend. She didn't turn up. So they must have been concerned enough to contact maybe her family, or maybe they contacted the police first. Then that friend must have been concerned enough to think, why hasn't she turned up to meet me? Then on the 9th of March, the following Monday, her white tote bag was discovered off Copperas Road near the area where the boat was unmoored. But did she just dump it there? Did she? Or is somebody else involved in this? On March the 11th, on the Wednesday, the search expanded beyond Brightlingsea to the River Blackwater, Mercia Island, and the Dengie Peninsula. Literally, I don't know of, I've never heard of any of those places. This is a completely new geographical area for me. On March the 14th, which is just Saturday just gone, authorities located a laptop which was believed to belong to Vitoria. So she just dumped her laptop. The thing is, you would think if somebody had stolen that, they would have, that's worth money, isn't it? A laptop. So, unfortunately, sadly, when people are going to do something to themselves, they do discard items, don't they? Often they take them to charity shops and things like that and give things away. That is a sign when people are feeling, like that. They do tend to discard their items but give them away to friends, etc. So they found a laptop, and then on March the 16th, search efforts continue with the Essex police investigating potential sightings in the Bradwell-on-Sea area where the missing boat was found adrift. Now they missed out, so the boat was found. This boat that was reported missing was found adrift, but no sign of Victoria. Now I'm going to have a look now at the actual police statement on the police. Let's have a look where it's got on the police website. So, in fact, I'm going to share this. Hi, True Crime. How are you? Hope you're well. So, let's see. Is it sharing? Not yet. Hang on. Got to take that off. Put that on. So, this is the Essex Police website, and they're focusing quite strongly on Vitoria's case. Our officers are continuing to search for 30-year-old Vitoria Figueiredo-Barreto, who was reported missing on Wednesday, the 4th of March. She was last seen in the Brightlingsea area on Tuesday, the 3rd of March. Officers are following several lines of inquiry and are appealing to anyone who may have seen her or has information to call 999. So, did Victoria take that boat? Was it her who took the boat? Anyway, the boat was found drifting. As our search for Victoria enters its 14th day, so she's been missing for 2 weeks, our efforts to locate her remain determined. A vast amount of land, coastline and water has been covered by specialist search teams since the 30-year-old was reported missing to us on March the 4th, after she did not meet her friend as planned on March the 3rd. Those searches are continuing today in the Brightlingsea and Bradwell-on-Sea areas, including officers following up as yet unconfirmed reports of sightings. So this is the other thing that tends to happen with missing people, isn't it? You get all these false sightings. I mean, these might not be false sightings, but you do. People say, oh yeah, because they'll have seen someone who looks a bit like Victoria. And obviously it's a high profile case now. It's the police are really trying to spread the word. They're at that stage where they're looking for information. It's funny, isn't it? These missing person cases, they always start off where they're appealing for information, dash cam, any video footage that might help. Have you seen this woman or man, etc. And then they get to a point, don't they, where it's like, right, don't talk about it anymore. we're not at that point with Victoria. They don't know what's happened to her, so they're pleading for information. They want information about Victoria. Um, and, you know, this is the double-edged sword, isn't it, of social media and media in general. You know, you need information to find missing people or to find out what, you know, who killed someone. You need the information. But then it comes to a point, doesn't it, when they don't want any more information and they want you to go quiet about it. That's harder to do, isn't it? Once you've engaged people's interest in a case, it's hard then for them to switch off. So since Victoria was reported missing, we've seen strong support from the Essex public, and that has resulted in a significant amount of information being reported to us. To ensure this flow can continue, we've now created a dedicated portal through which information can be reported straight to the teams directly involved in the search, and it can be accessed here. But any sightings in real time should still be reported to us on 999. Let's have a look at this portal. Let's make sure I've changed it over that you can see it. Yeah, so this is the portal that the police have set up in the search for Victoria. Our search for missing woman Vitoria Figueiredo-Barreto is continuing with a number of police specialisms involved. So Sunday the 15th of March is of course Mother's Day in the UK. I'm a mum myself. Oh, so this is Detective Superintendent Hannah Granger saying this. I cannot even begin to imagine the pain Victoria's mother Glaze has experienced since Victoria's disappearance. Every single officer, staff member and volunteer involved in this search would love nothing more than to reunite Victoria with her mum, and we are working around the clock to do that. We have seen firsthand the support from the community in Brightlingsea and further afield, which has been offered to Victoria's loved ones. Equally, we know that many people from the community have been involved in raising the profile of Victoria's disappearance, and that has helped to ensure a significant number of people across Essex now recognise her face and her clothes. And I would urge our whole community, please keep looking out for her and report any sightings or CCTV information to us as soon as possible. So yeah, there's a couple of, where did that picture go? Anyway, I pressed the wrong button there. Information, let's see, what's the information? So if you do know anything about Victoria, you can go onto this portal and fill in the online form. Please add any information below. It helps if you provide your personal details. Do you know Vitoria Figueiredo-Barreto? Tell us how you know her. Do you know the current location of Victoria? Have you seen her since 1343 on Tuesday the 3rd of March? When did you see her? Where did you see her? Any information? Dash cam, add your dash cam here, add your doorbell footage here. That's very efficient. You put your name in, etc. So if you do have any information, you can go on this portal, and I'm going to go back to the police. You can go on that portal. So they've set that up. That seems very good, efficient, and let's hope somebody does know something about Victoria. And you know, I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? It's you wonder when someone's sort of depositing their items all over the place and then takes a boat, and then the boat is later found just drifting without the person. It doesn't give you a very positive vibe, does it? But anyway, so yeah, that's basically it. Oh, so then the latest thing was on Sunday, the 15th of March. They updated the police website and said, we can confirm that as part of our search for Victoria, a laptop which we believe to be hers has been found in Brightlingsea. It was located yesterday, Saturday, the 14th of March. Her family have been updated and continue to be supported. Now, I know when people are going through, mental health issues and that, they don't think about their families necessarily, or they think their families will be better off without them or whatever. I always find it very sad that they do things like, if Victoria has done something to herself, in a way that leaves the family wondering what's happened. It just seems so very sad. Remember the case of my Camilla over in the USA? She did phone the dispatch, didn't she? She phoned 911 because she wanted, before she sadly took her own life, because she wanted her family to know where she was. She didn't want them to be looking for her all over the place. So, but I know that a lot of people don't think of that. If you're in an unhinged mental state, you wouldn't think about that, I suppose. So we're also aware of a number of reported potential sightings of Victoria in the Bradwell area. I mean, that is encouraging. If there's a number of potential sightings, let's hope that she really is okay. We've had a policing presence in Bradwell and in the Dengie area throughout the weekend. These reports are being progressed appropriately alongside other lines of enquiry, which we must also continue to work through. On Sunday, the 15th of March, our Marine Unit crew has taken Victoria's loved ones on the same boat journey we believe she may have taken in the early hours of Wednesday, the 4th of March. And one of a number of lines of enquiry we're continuing to explore is whether Victoria unmoored a boat from a Brightlingsea pontoon in the early hours of the 4th of March. Whilst this possibility was explored significantly in the days after her disappearance, our focus on this area of the town intensified after a bag owned by Victoria was found close to Copper Road on Monday the 9th of March. So maybe she is. Maybe she took that boat and she has got off it and she's just, having some sort of psychic, what do they call it? Psychotic break. And she's dumping her stuff, but maybe she is okay somewhere. We know the boat was subsequently located on a drift in the water close to Bradwell-on-Sea, and we have reason to believe it was missing a horseshoe-shaped buoyancy aid. Well, that's encouraging. That's encouraging. So a life-saving ring had disappeared from the boat. So maybe she is okay. Maybe she jumped off. Maybe something she couldn't steer the boat, as maybe it run out of petrol. I don't know. I don't know anything about boats. But maybe she was trying to get somewhere for some reason. And but if the buoyancy aid has disappeared, and they haven't found that, I don't think. Well, they definitely haven't found it. Maybe that's an encouraging sign that she is still alive somewhere. Maybe she's got hypothermia somewhere, or maybe she's got amnesia. I mean, who knows? So Victoria's loved ones are also urging the Brazilian community in Essex to display Brazilian flags, which they hope will attract Victoria's attention and create a safe and welcoming space for her. Yeah, and then it goes on to repeat that Anna Granger said about Mother's Day. Right, I think, what's this? Let's have a look. Okay, can't look at that. Thursday the 12th of March. Oh, so on Thursday the 12th of March, our search for Victoria is being extended as we continue to appeal to boat owners in the waterfront area. So Thursday the 12th, oh, that was last Thursday. Okay. And her mum said last Thursday, I know Vitoria would tell us, don't give up, please keep going. So that is what we are doing. We are doing everything we can to find her, and we know the police and the community are doing everything they can. We know Victoria is probably not feeling herself. She might be scared. To anyone who sees her, please make her feel welcome. Oh, I'm getting upset now. Make her feel loved and make her feel calm. We are here for you, Victoria. Please come home. You've done nothing wrong. You are loved. Ay. So, where is Victoria? Where is she? Bless her. So they've searched massive areas. So this is the last sighting of her, I believe. This is the last sighting of her. What was going through her head now? Hasn't got her bags with her there. This is 12:16 a.m. on Wednesday, the 4th of March. Where's the bags that she had before? Because I can show you on another. I've got. Oh, this is CCTV as well that was seen of her. So this was a BBC article. Let me just check that that's sharing. I have to keep making it. Yeah. Bye, Tracy. Have a good day. Yeah, bless her. So this is her friend said. I think it's her friend who said. Her friend Sylvia. Yeah, she'd been, Silver, because they're calling her by her surname, Lillian. So on the 3rd of March, she'd met her friend Lillian Silver, with whom she'd been staying with. And then she made this 30-minute bus journey. And this is this off the bus? This is CCTV from the bus. I mean, she doesn't look very happy there, does she? You know, you can see in her face she looks a bit haunted. Anyway, and Lillian said she was really quiet, which is not typical at all. She's usually talkative, happy and funny, and she was clearly not well, but I could not identify why. And before the recent update, police said that a white shoulder bag matching the description of the one she was carrying had been found. So they found her bag, they found her laptop, but they cannot find her, cannot find Victoria. Where is she? Oh, so I hope that the fact that life-saving buoyancy aid was missing from the boat, I hope that's a good sign that maybe she is okay. Maybe she jumped off that boat for a reason, not to do something to herself, but maybe because it was drifting and she couldn't get it to work. So maybe she jumped off and tried to swim to shore, and maybe she made it. But anyway, as always, let me know what you think. I'm going to keep an eye on this case. I hope that some resolution comes for a family so they can find out what's happened to her one way or another. As in any missing person case, what's got to really be the worst is to not know, isn't it? Not know. Even the worst case scenario, at least you would know that your loved one, you're going to bring them home. They're not suffering anymore if they did suffer before. That not knowing, I think quite often about Jack O'Sullivan's mum. 2 years, Christmases, Mother's Days, birthdays, 2 years, and not even knowing what's happened to your son. So, and of course, there are lots of similar cases out there. So, yeah, my prayers today will be with Vitoria's family and all the families of the missing people, as always. Yeah, so we have to count our blessings. We count our blessings if we're not waking up like Victoria's mum, or like Nancy Guthrie's children, or like Jack O'Sullivan's mum. We're not waking up in the morning and thinking what's happened to our loved one. That in itself is a privilege, I think. You know, we have to keep ourselves grounded. Bad things happen in life. Life is difficult, but you know, we have to count our blessings. There'll always be things we want to change in our lives, but you know what? There are a lot of good in our lives as well. We have to concentrate on the good. Now, I was very struck by, you know, all this war in Iran and everything, and the idiot in the White House. And our president, Pedro Sanchez, who has stood up to Donald Trump, and he made a comment the other day, and he said, we need more love in the world and less hate. This world, I don't remember this world being so hateful when I was young, or, you know, it's like this world now, it's all hate, isn't it? Religious hate, racial hate, you know, between sexes, like, you know, men pitted against women, and just everybody, you know, taking sides instead of people just thinking, you know, we're all in this together. Doesn't matter what your religion is, doesn't matter what the colour of your skin is, doesn't matter how much money you've got, you're all born and you'll all die. That's one thing, you know, we're all in it together. And we've got to get through this life the best we can. And all this hate and war, and I just can't bear it. It is so depressing. Why can't people just be nice to each other, for God's sake? Of course, you've got the devils out there doing this work. He's a job at the minute, I think. But, you know, surely this has got to turn and change at some point. All this hatred, everybody blaming each other for everything. You know, instead of looking at the people that are causing their misery, they're looking at people, you know, side of people that are in the same misery, because, oh, and blame them. So yeah, let's do what Pedro Sanchez said. Let's have more love and less hate in the world. You know, just live and let live. Let people be. Stop wars. God, just the wars. So that, yeah, you can't even think about it, because people are suffering all over the world. And everybody's suffering a little bit because of this war. You know, whether you're there being bombed, or whether your petrol prices, you can't afford it, or, you know, everybody's affected by what that orange moron has done in the White House. So, yeah, as me preaching love. I can't love Donald Trump, I'm afraid. I think he's a horrible person. He's responsible for so much misery in the world. You know, I find it hard to find any love for him. But anyway, there you go. I don't envy him, because I think, you know, where's he going in the next world? He's going straight to hell, because when he's got to stand at the pearly gates and account for all the misery he's caused in this world. You know, we've probably all caused a little bit of misery along the line. Most of the time we didn't mean to do it. But he means to do it. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't care. He has no regard for human life whatsoever, or human suffering. Horrible man. But anyway, so I'll let you know when anything comes up about Victoria. Hopefully there's some news soon. Same with Nancy. Hopefully we get some news soon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God always go with you and count your blessings. Thank you.